I don't know if you know this, but Attaché was born out of my own itinerancy. I was bouncing all over the world for work, never in a place long enough to really appreciate everything it had to offer. 24 hours at most if I was lucky. And every time I was in one of these places, I wished there was a guide that would help me maximize my brief time in these amazing places. And there wasn't, so eventually we just made it ourselves, 70 times so far. But even today, I still seek out that food and drink content. I'm here, but not for very long, so where do I eat and where do I drink? So with this, we are going back and scratching that 10-year-old itch. And what better place to start than beautiful Edinburgh? So here's what we're gonna do. 48 hours of food and drink in Edinburgh. Not just the fuel you need for your exploration of this glorious city, but the iconic dishes and drinks, the local favorites, and the home comforts that make this city the glorious food destination that it is, with a few interesting tidbits sprinkled in along the way. From handheld classic snack options to some of the finest cuisine in the world, we are going to explore it all together. So let's get started.
No matter how you arrive in Edinburgh, and you can check our full city guide for the mechanics of that particular process, if you're anything like me, you will arrive hungry and dangerously undercaffeinated. So it is imperative that we address that immediately. Day one, likely on the move from station to tour or from airport to hotel. So our mission is something handheld and delicious, alongside something hot and caffeinated. Edinburgh has experienced, along with much of the Western world, a coffee explosion. Not literally, that would be terrible. But there are great independent, emphasis on independent, coffee purveyors all over town. Many of them inside or alongside outstanding little bakeries.
Baked goods are a wonderful thing, but they are also a risk because, let's face it, they can be devastatingly disappointing when they're not good. Who hasn't experienced the crushing disappointments of a leathery croissant or a beignet? The risk at Tasty Buns is zero. The goods are exquisite, the coffee perfect, and the name, frankly, irresistible. Also, it's on Bread Street, so it was kind of meant to be. Cherry and apple streusel. So good. Unbelievable, actually. I'm just gonna keep eating it.
As you move about this glorious city, ticking off whatever is on your Edinburgh bucket list, be it the castle, the National Museum, or, if you're feeling particularly fit, a climb up to Arthur's Seat, it is a guarantee that fuel will be required. But fear not, my friends, there are options aplenty. When we do a more food-centric guide like this, it's really important to balance the iconic flavors of a place with the foods that fuel its residents, because they're often not the same. Yeah, we're ticking off Edinburgh and Scottish classics, but the more I asked locals about where they went for casual bites, the more I got the same answer: Siverinos.
Who doesn't love a good slice? But in my experience, for every good slice you find, you will find 10 cheese-topped cardboard atrocities. So I will admit to you now, freely, that I was a little skeptical about the idea of Scottish pizza. At least I was, until this was slid in front of me. Absolutely beautiful. It is 1/4 of a 20-inch pizza. That's a slice, apparently. And rather incredibly, this beautiful thing, this absolutely a meal, is only 6 pounds, which in this day and age, that's a hell of a value. And it's good.
Throughout the city, there are fantastic options for quick, casual bites to fuel your Edinburgh adventures. Like creative, delicious sandwiches made with local, seasonal ingredients at the legendary Albies. Or, for something handheld, satisfying, and wonderfully Scottish, there's the humble pie.
Edinburgh is full of handheld snack options, which is perfect for when you're hungry and on the go. The granddaddy of all handheld snack options, however, is the Scotch pie. It doesn't get more quintessentially Scottish than this. You can find them in bakeries, cafes, even sporting events. They're also very, very popular. But if you want the real deal, you gotta get them at a butcher. And if you're gonna go to any butcher, it's gotta be Saunderson's. These are absolutely beautiful. They're very simple. Just a short crust pastry filled with meat, usually beef, gently spiced. The good ones are life-changing, like this one right here. And the beauty of it is, because of that hard crust, it's handheld, no need for wrapping, reasonably clean to eat, but absolutely delicious. I'm gonna eat this right now. Yes, that's so good. Perfect for on the move. Sometimes you're going to want a longer pause in your day, and if that's the case, then maybe a sit-down lunch is in order, none of this handheld nonsense. But if you're going to do that, then the Palmerston is a phenomenal bet. Beautiful room, locally sourced, freshly prepared meals, not faffy, not pretentious, but of a supremely high quality. And if you're a little bit of an early bird, they also do, rather remarkably, incredible baked goods, which are famous throughout the city, but you do have to get here early because they go quickly. There are myriad options for dinner in Edinburgh, but I have a huge soft spot for this place, Bon Vivant on Thistle Street. We discovered this quite by accident last year when we were filming our full Edinburgh guide, and it was breathtakingly good. Not faffy, not over fancy, really good, clever, clean, local Scottish riffs using things like haggis bonbon or venison parcels that are made to look like deep fried Chinese wontons. Really clever, very good value, really great vibe. I'm just such a massive fan of this place.
Nestled in the heart of Edinburgh, just a stone's throw from the iconic castle, there is a beacon of Scottishness that, no matter how brief your time in Edinburgh might be, you simply cannot miss. For it represents an institution, an experience so embedded in Scottish culture that it is hard to imagine one without the other. Whiskey.
There's a lot of gatekeeping around whiskey, or at least there was in the past. There's a growing wave of whiskey enthusiasts and content creators that understand that A, whiskey is not dogma, and B, to become someone who really enjoys and appreciates whiskey, you gotta start somewhere. And I can't think of many better places to start than here, Johnny Walker Princes Street. I gotta admit something. When I was first introduced to whiskey, I was really overwhelmed by the number of regions and styles and ages and locations and all of that. How I wish I had something like this back in the olden days. The flavor quiz. 11 questions ranked from love it to hate it of different flavors, and at the end of it, you're matched with one of these nifty little wristbands that is then your first drink on the Journey of Flavor tour. I am very excited to see where I end up on this spectrum, if you will, so I'm gonna get started right now. Blue, all right, blue. All right, there we go. Let's see what this beautiful thing unlocks.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this tour is something special. Beyond just being one hell of a show and a quite incredible environment, it's a real education in whiskey, in Johnny Walker, in Scotland. But you also walk away with a great understanding of flavor and your own palate, all led by knowledgeable, enthusiastic ambassadors of Scotland's noble nectar.
Never had sun-dried tomato in a drink before, so.
Tomatoes in my whiskey were not previously on my radar.
Oh my God, that is absolutely delicious. Yeah.
And before you dive into the comments with things like, how dare you pollute whiskey like that, I've got something to say.
There's a myth about whiskey that we need to dispel right here and now. Despite what you might have heard or have been told, there is no correct way to enjoy whiskey. There's no room for purists here. Whiskey is an incredibly versatile liquid that can be crafted into a huge array of flavors and cocktails that will fit anybody's taste, like this one. I love my job.
Now, I understand that many of you aren't drinkers and might be thinking, why would I come here? I don't drink. I hear you. I gave up alcohol for years a while back, so I get it. But whiskey is about as Scottish as you can get, so that heritage, that provenance, and craft alone are worth a visit here.
But even on the drink side of things, there is something for everyone. And those of us that do partake know that the key to enjoying is moderation. I am a big believer of that. So I really appreciate the fact that many of the cocktails on offer here, which are spectacularly creative, are available as zero alcohol versions, like this stunning watermelon and basil concoction, basil, which is absolutely glorious. And zero alcohol.
Whiskey drinker or not, I was fascinated by what they've done at Johnny Walker Princes Street. The educational component alone is worth a visit. let alone the views, the food, and, of course, if it's your thing, the whiskey. And hey, if you're a fan like I was, then you can bring home your very own personalized bottle.
Well, I did the engraving part. I had no idea that I was going to be able to fill it myself, so that was a very new experience. Well, attaché memento. Coming to a store near you soon.
Got a bit of a sweet tooth? Fear not, Edinburgh has you covered.
You know you're onto something when every baker, bartender, restaurateur recommends one place. And that one place in Edinburgh, Mary's Milk Bar, and for a very good reason. They produce some of the most delicious ice cream, all made with local dairy and milk, as well as seasonal and local products. So the menu or available flavors are constantly changing. And their queuing system is a testament to their popularity. They've had to come up with this makeshift pavement queuing system because it is so popular with locals and with tourists, obviously. And why wouldn't it be? I mean, look at that. That's absolutely glorious. Salted caramel, yum.
To round off your Edinburgh evening with some great food and incredible views, head back to Princes Street for dinner at the 1820 Rooftop Bar. The food is incredibly creative and delicious small plates served alongside cocktails and mocktails. 48 hours in Edinburgh is an excruciatingly brief time frame to experience everything this wonderful city has to offer. But at least you can rest easy knowing that this is a city chock full of great food that runs the gamut from quick and easy to innovative and formal, drinks that are caffeinated and creative, and experiences that are as fascinating as they are refreshing. All served up by warm, friendly, enthusiastic proprietors who exude a worthy and noble pride in their craft. And that, my friends, is why Edinburgh remains one of my favorite cities in the entire world.